All right, here we go. Welcome to the Building Men podcast. Building Men is geared toward helping you become the strongest version of yourself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. My name is Dennis Morrell, the host of Building Men, and I wanted to introduce to you today Greg Lewis. Greg is a motivational speaker. Greg is a former professional basketball player, and currently he is the assistant dean of students at a prestigious private school in Eastern Pennsylvania. Welcome, Greg, to the Building Men podcast. I'm happy you could be here today, my man.
Thanks, Dennis. Happy to be here, man.
So, Greg, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about kind of how you ended up as the assistant dean of students at Solebury School. How did your journey take you from where you started off to where you currently are now?
Well, I had a crazy. I didn't have a traditional path of becoming a dean of students. Obviously, most would go through years of being into the educational field and things of that sort, and kind of navigating through teaching and things of that sort to become a dean of students. But that's not necessarily where my path took me. I actually I was playing professional ball, and I got a contract to go to Greece, and I was set to go to Greece on August 8th. And July 29th, I got into a bad accident on 95, actually. Got hit in the back, did a 360 on the highway, completely totaled my car, had 2 herniated discs in my spine, tore all the ligaments in my right shoulder. Couldn't run for a year, was kind of like, had an awkward hunched over position for about 6 months. And I really hated the game of basketball. Didn't want anything to do with it, didn't want to be around it. And I was had to figure out what I was going to do at that time. So I got a job working at PSEG, Public Service Electric and Gas, and working in the customer service department. And it just was unfulfilling. And the coach of Solebury actually approached me and said, "Hey, man, I want you to come work out with the guys." I came and worked out with the guys, and I found a whole new love for it. Just being around the team and seeing how the team responded to what I was saying, the words I was saying, not just about on the court, but in life. They were able to see what I was saying meant something. Right. And it made it kind of easy because when you come back to the school that you graduated from, I scored over 1,300 points here. So I can just point to the wall and they can see my name on the wall in the gym. So it's easy to kind of convince somebody to listen to what you're saying when they're trying to reach the same goals that you had. So it's easy to do that. But then I saw that these guys were actually taking heed to what I'm saying in life. And that kind of made me change the way I approach things. So then I approached our head of school and said that, I feel like I can make this place better. And I would really love for you to interview me. And I kept at it. I just kept saying, "Hey, I think you need to interview me because I think I can make this place better." I think by the third time I said that to him, he kind of was like, "Okay, this guy's serious. Let's go ahead and do an interview." And I interviewed with people who once taught me, who were once in that authoritative position to oversee my future. And they saw something in me. They saw a bright spot in me and I thought I could contribute to this campus. And they gave me the opportunity to be a dean of students. But with that, I think they saw that I navigated life, ups and downs and figuring things out. And I was then able to come back to this place equipped with those scars, those battle wounds, all those life lessons, and able to apply it to these students to help them navigate through life. And that's been like the biggest thing. And me being as effective as an assistant dean of students is just being able to navigate, helping students navigate these tough times. And that's the biggest thing, as 16, 17 years old, it's one of the most pivotal points in your life. And we got to really figure out if people in position to help navigate that time, you have a better, higher percentage of being more successful if the right people are in your life at a younger age. And that's really, I held on to that because I was always said, if I had somebody like me in my ear at 16, 17 years old, I'm already a monster. But
yeah, you're a big dude. How tall are you, Greg?
6'8", man.
6'8". You're and you're like you cast a shadow
Yeah,
on
six
people.
eight 305, dude. That's not a small guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I think back to the movie Bronx Tale. One of the lines was there was not that this is you, but there was a guy they called him like Frankie the Whale or
yeah,
the Whale, and they said the legend was that his shadow once killed a dog.
I do remember
And
that.
I'm a big dude. I'm 6'4", 220, you know, and when
Right.
I'm next to you, I feel small.
Dude, like it's crazy. Like I knew all my life I knew I was that big, you know, and because I like when I was growing up younger, man, I had a hot head and I knew that reacting, I would always react to something. I would always be so quick to be defensive, you know, and then I realized that my size is intimidating in itself. And I'm gonna draw that attention just off of my size alone. So I might as well have it be positive rather than negative. Like I need to not put on, but display positivity rather than people automatically thinking that they need to be intimidated by me. They need to automatically be defensive when they see me. So that's why the gentle giant kind of thing came to be, you know, where I was able to balance my temperament and such because, like I said, I navigated through life and I navigated trying to figure things out by trial and error, you know, and by the grace of God, I was able to hit the ground and then come bounce back up, you know, kind of not be overtaken by those adverse situations. I was able to see that I could bounce back from those situations and kind of continue to get ahead, you know?
So as you're talking, there's so many things that are running through my head about your story. It's so interesting. One thing that I thought of first was when you said after you got into that car crash, you were scheduled to go on August 8th
Yep.
out to go play professional basketball in Greece.
Yep.
And I mean, that just struck me. I did an interview yesterday with a guy named Ryan Durstein, who's a former MMA fighter, and his first fight was going to be on August 8th of like
Wow.
2009. And so the first,
It was
like that,
2009. That was it too.
that blows my mind
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it was the same exact date. So
That's
uh,
crazy.
great story that he went through yesterday, just about overcoming fear.
Right.
But with yours, as as you're getting ready for this date, you have this like debilitating crash that happens, and your identity was probably so intertwined or connected to being a basketball player, right?
Right.
Like, that was probably when somebody sees you, you're a big fucking dude, and
That's
like,
it.
oh well, he's got to play basketball, right? And so because
Yeah.
that's your identity. So how do you go about one, like kind of shifting your mindset? You said you hated basketball after that.
Dude.
How do you change that script in your head?
Man, that was like the hardest part for me, honestly, because I am a ball player. Like that's who I am. That's who I was known as. That's all I'm known as, you know, a ball player. And you know, I prided myself on always being able to do different things. You know, in high school, I was as a sophomore, I was the school president. You know, as the entire school president, not
Yeah,
just my
who doesn't?
class, but like as a sophomore. So I always was able to be in different crowds and do different things. But you know, basketball was who I was, and it was taken away from me, kind of thing. You know, and I had played against some of the greats. Coming out of high school, as one of the top 100 players in the country. Um, I was Nike All American, one of the top 100 sophomores as a sophomore in high school. You know, I'm at NBA camp with everybody like OJ Mayo, Rob Curry, Sean Singletary, all these dudes. You know, like playing against all these J.R. Smith, all these cats, LeBron, that just had a name, and I'm playing against them all, and I should have been there. You know, so like I was burdened by the fact that I wasn't making it, you know, and I kind of got stuck in that thought for a while. And then I saw that it was coming back in coaching that really kind of changed that whole thing. It allowed me to be around the game and in the game, but not playing the game, you know? So like where I can still be respected for my talents and my IQ, my basketball IQ, and what I do know about the game, and it can still, you know, fill that void a bit. But it wasn't doing it all. You know, it kind of made me seek more and more of a gratification. So it kind of forced me to identify myself, like who am I? And when I started to see how these young men were listening to me, then it kind of said, you know what, this is where you need to be. This is you need to coach. And then it went from just coaching the game to being able to coach young men and women in life, and try to navigate. I always make a joke and say, I know I've messed up so much that I can tell people what not to do,
Right.
to do the right thing. You know what I mean? And I know I wear that, but I wear it proudly because I know I have tripped. I have fallen. I have had moments where I've stumbled, but I wear that because I know that I'm not defined by the missteps I've had. I always tell kids, falling isn't what defines you. What defines you is how you respond. And if you respond the right way, then dude, you are defined by just that. You have the gut, the goal, the drive, the tenacity to overcome whatever it is. And I had to find that within myself. Once I found that within myself and really said that the monster that I was or that I wanted to be on the court and coaching, I need to be that same monster in life in everything I do. And that just helped me really identify me as Greg, the motivator, Greg, the mentor, Greg, the one that can lift spirits and things of that sort. So that's how it really went.
I think one of the biggest things that a coach can do for someone is not to give someone the key. It's for
Right.
the coach needs to let them see or help them see that the key is in them, that they
Right.
already have that ability within them. It's helping them figure out that it's there, and then here's how you can go about unlocking that. So
For
you
sure.
mentioned now, like you're like, I wish I had someone like me when I was 16, 17 years old that could have talked to me. Was there anyone in your life at that point, when you were at that age, that you could look to as a coach or a mentor? It might not even been on the court. It could have just been somebody at the barbershop
Oh, for sure.
that really talked to you and helped you kind of see your way.
My pop, man, my dad is my best friend. And if I can be a gnat's wing of the man my father is, I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? He's a monster, like literally a monster. And I know that. He's displayed those things. He's taught me what it is to be a man. There's like 4 experiences I've had in my life that I know contribute to who I am today. And I can like recount them, and all those followers of the Building Men podcast, they will be able to hear these stories eventually, man. But like it's like 4 things I can really, really attribute to why I'm here. And one of them was when I was 12 years old, man. I I was tall, real skinny, not much definition, you know what I mean? Really just trying to come into my own, wore glasses. Um, and I used to go to like this after school program, and this kid tripped me, man. I know I was like 11, 10 or 11. This kid tripped me in front of everybody. Dude, I'm tall. I was 4'11" in the first grade. All right. So I was like abnormally tall at
Yeah.
10 years old. Kid trips me in front of everybody. Everybody's laughing and all that. This happens on a Tuesday, man. And I never forget it. So Friday comes around. I let it roll Friday after school program. This kid, the same kid, we go to assembly. He sits right in front of me in the auditorium. And this kid had a fresh ball fade, man, fresh haircut. Dude, I licked my entire hand and cocked back so far and smacked the shit out of this kid in the back of his head, man. He was crying, yelling and whatnot, crying. My dad comes, picks me up. Obviously, I was in trouble by the after school program, yada, yada, yada. My dad doesn't even yell at me. Like, something's going to happen. Like, I'm getting a whooping or something. Something's going to happen. My mom doesn't even yell at me. We have dinner. I'm like, something is up, you know? So it's like 8 o'clock right now. My dad then takes me to, he says, yo, we're going to take a ride. He takes me to the Ace Record Shop at the Five Points in Trenton, off of Parkway, off of Pennington Avenue. Okay. Now, this is like 95. It's not the best time to be around there at 8 o'clock at night. All right. So we go out there, and I can see it clear as day. It's like 5 guys on one side of the stoop, about 3 or 4 guys like shooting dice and drinking, and other guys are out there just talking on the stoop or whatever. We walk in the Ace Record Shop. My pop buys a CD. Probably didn't even need to buy the CD now that I think about it, but he probably wasn't something he was looking for. But we come out the store, we're literally parked right in front of the store. He had a blue GMC Jimmy truck at the time. He goes around, gets in his side, unlocks it, gets in the side, starts the car, and I'm like pulling the handle, trying to get in. He pulls the fuck off. He left me. And we're about like 15 minutes away from home. He left me. Right in the midst of everything that's going on, he left me. Pulls off, bam, pulls down the road. I'm like, what the? I'm 10 years old, bro. I'm freaking out, running after the car, crying, like, oh, like why are you like trying to find him? Dude, he left me for like 3 minutes. That's a long time as a 10-year-old kid. Like he went, circled the block, pulls up on me, and he opens the door and he says to me, he says, "Why the fuck are you crying?" I said, "Man, I'm nervous. I don't know what's going on. I don't know these guys." He said, "But you're a tough guy. You wanted to expose somebody else. You wanted to do that to somebody else, right?" I said, "But it's like I wasn't trying to be tough." He was like, "First of all, you've learned your lesson. You know that you can't you can't treat people like that. But the bigger thing is," he said, "them motherfuckers do not know you. They don't know who you are, just like you don't know who they are. You need to conduct yourself as if you're supposed to be there wherever you are. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. You need not be intimidated because you are supposed to be there and you need to conduct yourself as such." Bro, that lesson is literally why I'm right where I'm at today. I walk into rooms and demand respect. People might not expect me to have the wherewithal or like the same knowledge that they do because they may have studied this dean of students. They may have been in this field for so long, but yet and still you can't compare what I have here to what you have. Like I'm supposed to be in this position for a reason. I'm impactful. I do my job well. I'm efficient, but I had to recognize that within myself first. And that lesson, dude, literally has made me overcome so many situations, self-doubt,
Right.
Questioning why, like if I'm supposed to be somewhere, questioning if I have the ability to do something. I need to remember that one, God didn't make any mistakes and put me in a situation that I'm not supposed to be in. But two, if I'm there, I might as well kill it. If I'm in the game, I'm gonna kill the game. That's just what it is. And I can really attribute that, like one of those, that whole mentality to that moment.
Around that moment.
You
And
know?
that's the greatest thing about that lesson was it wasn't just him talking to you. He wove you, he took you through a full experience. And
Yeah,
you
dude.
can go back, and those are the things that stick into us. I tell people this all the time when I'm working with educators. I say you need to find ways, if you want your kids to remember something,
Right.
you need to like find a way to attach emotion to it. Like
Right.
the experiences in your life that you remember the most, there's a thought, an experience, and an emotion that's attached.
Right.
So the emotion that was attached to that experience was, I mean, there was this level of first, hey, I'm going for a ride with my dad. We're going to pick up a CD. Hey,
Uh,
Dre just dropped his new whatever, and I could.
right.
And then there was probably a little fear as you were walking in, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
what's
Like,
going on?
what we doing?
And
Right.
then it was this like crazy fear, like, where the fuck is he going? What's going on? And then the crying that went along with it. And then there was that like rebuilding. Okay, let's establish that communication again. And the lesson that came with it is something, like you mentioned, you'll never forget in your whole
Never
life.
forget. It's awesome. And I just that's why I say, man, if I can be a gnat's wing of what my father is, it he taught me that lesson, and I don't know if he even knew at the time the magnitude of what he was teaching me. You know what I mean? Like that really just that changed my life, man, and made me one respect everybody. Literally respect everyone. I don't care who you are, man. Like everyone deserves respect. You don't know anybody's story. You don't know
Right?
anybody's
Those
journey.
guys that were rolling dice on the corner, like each one of them has a story to tell and something to probably teach you about life as
Right,
well. It's being able to lean into those conversations,
right, right.
being willing to accept it.
Exactly. Not being so quick to judge, man, and just understand that we're in this together. That's the biggest one of the biggest lessons, and it was so many lessons within that small little parable. that now as an adult I can really highlight on, and I'm thankful for that, for sure, for sure,
You
for sure.
mentioned before that you had these four big life stories. I'm glad we had an opportunity to listen to one today. And so the last couple episodes that I've been doing, I interviewed Sean Nixon, I interviewed my brother Anthony Morale, then
Mm.
I'm interviewing you. As we move forward with Building Men, what we're going to try to do is once a week, the four of us get together
Yeah,
and discuss some topic related to masculinity. And your role in this, I mean, just your role as a motivational speaker, just coming up from a different background. Everyone had, all of us grew up in a different kind of experience. Even my brother and I, even though we're related, we share similar DNA, our
right,
experiences in life were so different because of just our birth order. I'm 14 years
right,
older than my brother, and just the
right,
way that he thinks about things. And we have the same parents, but they were different parents. They were,
right,
the way
right,
we were raised were a little bit different. So I'm
right.
so curious, as we go through this journey together, just to understand the way that you would define masculinity. And I mean, this lesson that your father taught you, it was around masculinity.
Right, for
So
sure.
just as when you hear that word, what does that conjure up in you? How might you define that word to people listening?
It's see, today it's really hard to kind of put a definition on it without quote unquote offending people, and
Right.
that's you don't want to offend people, at all. But because you kind of want to do away with the old traditional, like, I'm man, I run the household and all that kind of stuff. But like the thing is, when I think of a man, I think of the security. What, like, with me, like, for myself, I take the burden as a man to make sure that my family is secure, like that my wife is taken care of, that my children are okay, that I'm able to make a positive impact in my community. Like that's what it means to be a man, to wear the all the burdens that do come your way, and understand that you have the ability to handle it. You have the ability to navigate it and figure it out. If you want help, there is help, but you have the ability to navigate these tough times and not succumb to the pressure of life and things of that sort. And everybody can do that. That's something that I want to kind of instill in young men and young women, as well. But when I think of masculinity, I think of the embodiment of being a leader, being one who stands for something, um, being a man's man, being displaying respect. That's huge, because that's been a lost art as well. Like, just giving respect and kindness to the average person is lost. So it's kind of hard, man. Like I said, I know I'm kind of dancing around it without, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be
But I get
offensive,
it.
but I definitely see it as being just securing your household, man, taking care of your community, giving back to your community, being straight up, being like, that's where a handshake goes a long way. Being honest goes a long way. Doing for others goes a long way. Those little things like that,
And I
that
think
all matter.
there's so much around that idea of toxic masculinity now, and what we're trying to do is almost define like what authentic masculinity means
Right,
in this journey. And my definition of masculinity, I'm sure it's going to change 10 different times over the course
right,
of the next year of my life, just based on the experiences that you go through, and again, attaching an emotion to something specific. I'm really curious about how you took those four life lessons that you had. And so we heard about one of them today, and I'm sure we'll
right.
hear of the other three as we
For
move
sure.
forward with Building Men. So, how do you take the life lessons that you learned and then turn them into teachable moments for the kids that you're motivating now at Soulbury
Mm,
School? So, how do you take those and then, okay, how am I going to use this to motivate others to,
right.
one, not make the same mistakes that I made, like you mentioned, but then two, to become the best and strongest versions that they can become of themselves?
See, a lot of times, we as educators, we look at students and we forget that we were once 16, 17 years old. So we look at students and we see where they are rather than seeing where they can be. And that's what most people do about look at how they look at most people. You look at where they are and that's what you just think they are. But if you see the value in them and see where they can be, that's what we need to hold on to. Hold on to the piece that we can push them to, that next level that we can push them to. So once I see that these students have another level that I can push them to. Now it's trying to figure out what's going to push their buttons. And I noticed that students are tired of people just talking to them, like just telling them like to go do something just because that's the right thing to do. Like, who cares? I didn't want to hear that. And like, so why would they? So the way I kind of try to do it is literally tell them my stories, tell them my experiences, tell them what I've been through, but I also show them the good side of it. Like, my friends, it was 22 of us actually. We went to Cancun for my bachelor party, and we rented a mansion, and we had cars and all this other stuff. And I literally come to students sometimes and I say, think about the best party you've been to. Do you have it in your head? And they're like, yeah, I got it. I said, that's the worst party I've been to. Okay. That's your best is my worst. So think about my best party that I've been to. And I was like, and you can have that if you sacrifice now. So I try to put things in perspective for them to see that their goals are obtainable. When I'm not just saying do this, that, and the other, just because it sounds right. I'm telling you firsthand because this is how it works. And I definitely think I apply a lot of my missteps to the teaching, aspect of it. Why you shouldn't do this, and this is what could happen from it. I literally give them the whole breakdown, the trickle effect of how things could go if they go one way, rather if they go this way. So and they might get tired of it, but I go all the way in and explain each step and how it can work out for them. So
I've seen you interact with students, and I would say that your message certainly resonates with them. And that's the thing. It's really easy to stand on a soapbox and tell people exactly the way they need to be and why they
right,
should be that way. But when you can let yourself be vulnerable enough to say, hey, listen, like I've made mistakes
right,
and this is what I learned from those mistakes. And this is how I believe this might be able to help you out. So when I
so
think about you speaking to, so you're motivating, high school kids right now,
right.
if you were able to go back in time and talk to you as a 16-year-old, so you can go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice as a sophomore and junior in high school, what would you tell yourself?
Go hard. Everything like what you think matters right now, what you hold value in right now, really doesn't mean shit. Like you put so much value in, oh, my friend group, or oh, I want to go to this party, or I want to do this, or I want to hang out. Like I told a couple of guys on the ball team, I said, dude, if I worked out as hard as you did, you wouldn't know me. Like that's just what it is. You wouldn't know who I am. Like we wouldn't be talking. Because if I put that much work into my game, I wouldn't be here. I would still be playing the game. And that's the facts. Like I would still be playing the game. So if I could tell my 16-year-old, 17-year-old self anything is go ahead and sacrifice. Make the sacrifice and go ahead and work. Put in the work that you need to do because there's so much more that can come. Now I've experienced a lot and I thank God for all my experiences and all the journeys I've had and everything I've seen. But you can call it greed or what have you, but I want the world and everything in it, man. And the secret is I know that I'm not going to leave with everything, but when I leave, I'm going to leave with a big chunk because I know I worked for it. You know what I mean? So I know I'm not going to have everything, but if I have my mindset that I want it all, and I want it all because I want to be able to share it all. I want to be able to give it to everybody else too. I know that I'm not going to have it all, but if I'm going to work hard to get it, and that's what it's about.
I listened to this YouTube clip this morning. I'm really fascinated, one by a couple different podcasts that I listen to, and I try to find something motivational every day. And it was Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
And
he's
someone asked him about who his hero was. And he was thinking about it, thinking about it. He said, I can't even tell you who my hero is right now. Come back and see me at the end of the week. And they came back and saw him at the end of the week. And he said, you know what? My hero is me in 10 years.
oh man,
Because I'm gonna be that person in 10 years that everything that I want, everything I want to have, everything I want to be, who I want to be able to inspire, that's me in 10 years. And in 10 years, my hero is going to be me in another 10 years.
oh that's cool.
So as you were talking right now, I mean, obviously you said your father, your best friend, your hero.
Right.
Your other hero is you in 10 years from now.
Good,
You in
for
20
real, bro.
years from now. You know what I mean? Because you
That's
like
awesome.
even your hat says legend. I
Yeah,
definitely see
man.
that without a doubt, Greg. So
That's awesome.
the other thing that I wanted to ask you too was that there was this idea of someone interviewed. I need to get the name of the guy, but he interviewed people that were in the twilight of their life. They were 90, 95 years old, and he asked like 1,000 different people if you can give advice to younger people that are listening to this or they're consuming this right now. What pieces of advice might you give? And there were 1,000 different responses that people gave, but
Mhm.
the three responses that were the most frequently given, they said one, spend more time with loved ones and family.
Mhm.
Two is take risks in your life.
So,
Don't be afraid to fucking sack up and take a risk, to roll the dice a little bit and bet on yourself.
right.
And then three is do something to leave a legacy. So your name
Sure.
is remembered by people long after you're gone.
Right.
So I would ask you, Greg, what have you done in your life that you would say you took a risk? Like what's an example of something that you did that you can look back and say, this was a risk that I took? I mean, I think about you were fucking stalking the president of that school, like, give me a fucking job, dude.
Dude.
That's a risk right there, right?
Yeah, he could have been like, dude, you got to get out of here, man. Like this guy's scary. Gotta go. But man, listen, I it's a lot, man. I went down to Atlanta and played in the USBA, and this was on on the whim of me. Kind of, I got drafted by the NBA D League, and that didn't work out. So I tried for a team in Atlanta, and this was like I'm just trying to chase the dream at this point, man. So I'm just trying to play ball. And when I went down there, I was all on my own. Like I know no one. I'm in this crazy situation, whatever, in this roach infested house, sleeping on an air mattress, just trying to chase this dream, man. And it seemed like everything was happening. My car got broken into. I got an accident, car accident. Like I wasn't playing well. Then the team kind of went through, and so it was like just taking this risk of trying to chase that dream, man. That was really it. That was one of the biggest risks I've taken in my life. And then I went on tour with some of my boys. They were rappers and whatnot, and one of them was signed to Warner Brothers, and they went on like a 30-day tour. And I didn't really know where I was going at that point, in life. And I said, you know what? Let's see what's up. And I had the opportunity to just see the whole country with these guys. You know what I mean? Just taking a risk and being able to see the world. But it helped me kind of put things in perspective for myself. Like it gave me that sense of disconnect where I kind of saw what I really wanted to do. And this is post injury, like this is right after I got injured and
Mhm.
trying to navigate, how am I going to do all this and stuff like that. And that's what it really was, and that was one of the biggest risks. But I stepped out on faith, man, just saying that I'm gonna figure it out. But then, like I said, like you said, the biggest risk I took was really just applying myself here and saying, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to do. And it worked out, man. God saw it fit for me to be here, and I can't complain at all. You know what I mean?
And it's funny in those situations, and we've all been in those situations where it just seems like there's something in the universe against you.
Right.
You're sleeping on a floor, your car gets broken into. It's like one
Right.
of those things that all like you you fucking get a paper cut on top of you. You're like,
Right.
damn it! Like one more thing. What the fuck is going? But what I've come to realize, especially over the last year of my life, is that those things they're happening to you. So you go through this experience. You're learning something from those experiences, and those lessons will help you in the future. They'll help serve you in some way. So even when you feel in those moments like woe is me and all this shit is happening to me, you're like, you know what? This is happening to me to teach me something that I will utilize to make other people's lives easier or to teach someone in the future.
Right. It's serious, man. Like I had to really like, 'cause I was in that woe is me moment, in that woe is me, like, why is this all happening to me? Like, what the hell? But then I realized, like years later, that I realized that there's no more losses, man. And I've heard this, and like somebody else said it. This is not from me. There's no more losses in life. The only L's that we take are lessons. That's it. There's no more losses. You didn't lose anything. You learned from it, and I felt like I lost, that basketball opportunity. I felt like I lost my position on the team. But no, I learned that I didn't work hard enough. I learned that I didn't put myself in the best position. I learned that I could do better had I done this, this, and the other. So, and I learned that if I want to be successful in other aspects, this is what I have to do. So it's just, you have to take it as lessons, man. There's no more L's. There's no more losses. It's only lessons.
And you're a father, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I often think about this as well. I asked you before what you would do or what lessons you learned, what advice would you give to yourself? What do you use to motivate other people? I'm curious to know, as a father, what lessons have you learned from your daughter? As you have a daughter, correct?
I have a daughter and a 7-month-old son.
Oh, congrats on both. I mean, especially your 7th month old. So, what lessons have you learned about life from your children?
Dude, temperament, man. Taking patience, and I think me being a dean of students has really helped me become a better father, and in the sense of understanding how things are coming, understanding how to process things. Because, we as adults, we're like, we say something and we expect people to get it like that. But that's because we've already processed all that other stuff and know how to navigate through it and just say, okay, that's actually what they were saying. So let me hold on to that. But kids can't do that. And me being in this position has given me patience when dealing with my children, and temperament and understanding. That's the biggest thing, is understanding that, they might not understand it right away, that it's going to take a time or two or a lesson or two to understand it, to get it all the way. And that's really what the best thing with me, because I got butt whoopings as a kid. You know what I mean? I got that, but I needed that. I needed the rod. I needed to be tightened up, because that's what it was. But I'm seeing that I can apply my words and how I go about things and be the example to my children too. I can guide and be that influence in a different way too. And that's the biggest thing, man. As a dean of students, it's definitely taught me how to have better temperament, patience, and a little bit more easygoing when handling things in the general sense as a father. And I appreciate that.
In 10 years from now, if you hear that your son licks his hand and smacks somebody on the back of their neck, you're going to drive him to 5 Points or Stuyvesant Avenue in Trenton and
You know
for 3 minutes?
You know it. I'm going to drop him right there, man, just to learn the same lesson, It'll be great. I'm going to call all my friends, though, and tell them, mess with them a little bit, though.
Yeah, right. Right, yeah. Oh my God. And that's one of those that I won't forget that story without a doubt. And it leads me into thinking about, at that moment, you were experiencing like a deep level of fear, I'm sure, not
Dude,
knowing what was going
man.
on. To wrap back around to that story, was can you identify a couple times in your life that fear almost crippled you, but you were able to overcome it? Like, yeah, your story, and I love your story because it's about perseverance, resiliency, not
Yeah.
giving up. There were probably times where you're like, you know what, I can't go on anymore, but you didn't listen to
Yeah.
those voices. You listened to the voices of perseverance. So was there a time where you felt like you almost were like, you know what, this, whatever it is too overwhelming for me, this fear that I'm experiencing, but you were able to overcome?
Dude, I mean, it was like times, multiple times, man. I mean, trying to think of a shorter story that I can kind of give you, because um, my senior year of college, man, like, I had a decision to make. I had my senior year, my senior semester, the second semester, I had a sports and law class that met on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. I'm sorry, 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And our game started at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays in college, right? Typically, either home or away. And I had a decision if I was going to be going to class or if I was going to be going to the games. And I chose to go to class, and because I wanted to graduate on time. So coach was pissed at me about this. Coach like really kind of blackball, like not blackball me, but he was pissed at me about this. You know what I mean? To the point that I wasn't playing anymore. You know, I didn't even get my ankles taped for the game. I knew that. I knew I wasn't going to play. So it wasn't no need to prep. How sometimes I would come in there, like run right into the locker room. They already dressed. They have already started warm ups and all that kind of stuff. I'll just put my uniform on and just run to the bench. I knew it, and that was it. You know, I knew my senior season was just like it was a wrap, man. Like I wasn't even gonna play. So I kind of lost the motivation, man. When I was just like, you know what, it was what it was, and I just wanted to play the game. And I just wanted to be around the game and just continue to hoop. So that summer, I went home and played in this pro-am, this Nike pro-am league, actually out in Belmar at the Shore.
Yeah.
And this agent came up to me and said, "Dude, like, who do you play for? Like, where'd you play?" And I told him I played in college and I just finished my senior year. He's like, "Man, listen, you can still go." I was like, "Really? You think so?" Didn't think anything of it, man. And he was like, "Yo, if I can get you in a camp, will you work with me? Will you sign with me?" I was like, let's see what we can do. And dude said, "I got you in the NBA camp." I was like, "What?" He was like, "You got 30 days." Man, I was like, my whole trajectory like changed. I was like, NBA camp, bro. I'm about to go to NBA camp. I did 2 days. I was working out twice a day while doing the internship that I had to do that I already set up in order to graduate. Um, I was set to graduate in December, so I knew I had to go back to school in the fall. But I had already did this internship working at this investment banking company, doing marketing. I was already set up. So I was in the gym at 5:30 a.m. and I had to be at work at 8. I was there at work from 8 to 4. And at 5 o'clock, I was in the gym again. Like disciplined diet, not eating past 8 o'clock. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days, running a 6-minute mile. Bro, I was in the best shape of my life. I went out to NBA camp and killed those dudes, like outran everybody. Was ranked in the top 5 players in NBA camp. And that's how I got my look in the D League. But it was a point, man, when I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like everybody else, like my teammates weren't like, yeah, Greg, come on, man, keep up the morale, man. It's okay. Like we want you out there. That wasn't the case because it was more so like, you made your choice. You made your choice, which was school rather than ball. So that was your choice. And I know, guys weren't like mad, but they didn't really wholeheartedly understand it either, So it was just a choice I made, and I had to wear it, and that was that. And I was just really kind of like, you know what, I'm done. I don't think I can go on and play anymore, whatever. And then it was just that spark, man. Somebody else seeing something in me that gave me a chance and made me reevaluate my value and my abilities and be like, hold on, like all that doubting you were just doing, like that's not even necessary, man. Like you need. I said, really, what it was the fact that somebody else saw something in me and I didn't see it in myself, kind of bothered me. It kind of like it's like, dude, how are all these other people seeing what you can do, but you can't see it?
Right.
So it made me kind of just like change things around the way of looking at things. Like, dude, like, no, 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 no. There's no more like self-loathing. There's no more self-pity. If I want to change this shit, then change it.
So
That's it.
that just made me think of I'm so interested in this idea of nature versus nurture.
Oh yeah.
How much of it is, you're born to a certain way? Like how much of it is that your genetics, your DNA coding makes you be able to respond in situations? And then how much of it are the experiences that you go through teach you these lessons that kind of shift your thinking? So I've always thought like it was like 70-30 nature versus nurture. So most of the stuff you're born with, and then that 30% are experiences that you have. I go back and forth with what I think about that. So you having that experience where you could have just been like, fuck it, I'm done. I graduate, I'm a PSEG, I'm gonna
Right,
do what I'm
right.
gonna do or whatever. but then there was something in you that was like, No, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to put
Right.
all my chips in the middle of the table." So do you think that was just part of who you were? Like that's just Greg Lewis was born this way? Or do you think your experiences got you to a point where you're like, I learned this throughout my journey and now I'm going to go for it. I'm going to train. I'm going to work out at 5 in the morning, and I'm going to go to work, and then I'm going to work out again at 5 in the afternoon, or whatever the case may be.
It's a little bit of both, man. Because like, when I was in high school, I didn't work that as hard as I did with that MBA camp, but I was also just relying off of sheer talent. But as you said that, dude, like literally one of the images that popped into my head when I was like 12 years old, I was playing for this high school level team, travel team, and I didn't play a minute, but I was asked to play on this team. And I remember seeing my dad pack up our stuff kind of angrily, like, and say, like the other parents were like, "You guys okay?" And we were like, "Yeah, we're good." But my son's not gonna waste his time and just sit on the bench. And I remember that, like they didn't play me. You asked me to be here, but you didn't play me. Like I remember, like that. I remember how it felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those little things like that, I don't forget those things. And I was like, I guess I made my mind up a while ago to never just be used in that aspect to just fill a spot. If I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be in the game. I'm gonna be in the game. You're gonna respect me. You're gonna acknowledge me. You're gonna understand who the fuck I am. Like that's just what it is. Because I felt like I was kind of overlooked so much at a younger age that I kind of made that determination that you're gonna acknowledge who I am. You're gonna acknowledge my value. You're gonna acknowledge what I can and cannot do, and you're gonna respect me for it. Like I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but I'm going to give you your respect. I'm going to pay homage to who you are. If you've done something that's worthy of recognition, I'm going to do that because you deserve that. You personally deserve that, no matter who you are. So if I recognize that you deserve that, then you should be able to give that to me as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I pretty much actually just kind of demanded it. And that's how I look at it moving forward. Like this is what it's going to be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and that's a part of, being a man's man. Like, dude, when I walk into a space, I demand respect, and you're going to do that. You're going to respect me, and I'm going to respect you. And we can have a cordial conversation. We can be on polar opposites. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm still going to respect you for who you are and your own individual way of thinking. And that's what it is, It's a lot, man. I guess that
Yeah.
have poured into this, but I definitely have. I think a lot of it is what I've learned, but I think a lot of it is the things that have been instilled in me, uh, into who I am growing up. I remember, bro, when I was training, my dad would have me carrying a cinder block in my right hand and dribbling the ball with my left hand. You know what I mean? Trying to get my left hand down. Tying my right hand behind my back with the dog leash, and then me dribbling with my left hand. Those little things like that. He wouldn't let me quit. So being able to just overcome those things just made me see things a little different. I had to cut the grass. My little brother didn't. So those little lessons like that, I had to do that.
That resonates with me. I mean, people might call this child abuse a little bit, but when I was little, I was a pitcher, and I was able to throw close to 90 miles an hour, and I was a righty, right? So I always thought if I was a lefty, I might be able. I might have been on the cusp of making it. So my son, when he was born, I'm like, you know what? He's gonna be a lefty.
Right.
So I would, like, how you swaddle the kids in the blanket or whatever. I would
Right.
swaddle him, and I would leave his left arm out. Because I was thinking, you know what? As he's growing up, I put everything in his left hand. Just maybe he would be a lefty one day.
That's
And maybe that
dumb.
would be all he need, right? And so it didn't work. He's a righty. He's a quarterback now. He's a righty. And my youngest, Sophia, is a lefty.
Oh wow.
And we didn't know. I didn't do any swaddling.
You didn't do it. That's how it worked out.
I tried though. So
Dude, that's wild.
last question I'm going to ask you, Greg, is
Sure.
I talked before. I said, there was that idea, those three things. One was like, being with your family more, being with loved ones more. The second was taking a risk. And the third was what you might do or to leave a legacy when you're gone. So if somebody were to look at your gravestone in 50 years, 100 years, or whatever, what would it read? Like, what would it say? What's a legacy that you want to leave behind for other people after you're gone?
Hmm. You know, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because there's a lot that I would want to like say. I mean, love is one of the biggest things I think I've kind of preached. You know what I mean, across the board. But I always tell people like tell stories about me. Just tell stories about me. Tell them about the funny things I've done. Tell them about the crazy things I've done. Tell them about the good things. But tell them how I've impacted you. How did I make you feel? Did I empower you? Did I make you feel that you could lift that boulder? Did I make you feel like you were empowered enough to overcome those adverse situations? That's really all I want, man. Like I just want people to be able to be like, you know what, dude, I was in a spot and Greg really helped me navigate my life and figure my life out. Like he really helped me and motivated me to push me to that next level. If I, dude, if one person says that, I'm doing okay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm okay. And that's literally all it's about, man. I don't want to, I don't want to sound preachy, but I just want to do God's work and pay it forward, man, and make sure people are uplifted and loved, and you know what I mean, and that whole encouraged, man. Like I often tell people, stay encouraged, man, stay encouraged. It's like it's in the tagline, I guess, but that's what I want to do, man. That's the legacy I want to leave. That I was always encouraging. And I was lifting people, trying to embody what it is that I'm preaching, and that's the truth, man.
And just by getting to know you over the last couple of months, I can say for certainty that other people have breathed easier because you are on this planet. You have
Thank
made other
you.
people's lives easier. You've motivated people. Just knowing you've certainly motivated me.
Thank
I feel
you.
like I want to be a better man because I know you.
Thanks, man.
Um,
That means a
so
lot.
so Greg, how can people get in touch with you? How can people find you?
Oh man, find me on Instagram, G the Q. That's TheQue. I am a member of the greatest fraternity in the world, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Anyway, but find me at G the Q at IG, and you can contact me at G Lewis LEWIS at Solebury SOLEBURY.org. Shoot me online. Tell me how you feel. Give me some comments, some feedback. Love to hear from it. If you want to build, just reach out, man. We'll love to hear from everybody.
Absolutely. And so I will put all that information in the show notes on the podcast. So this uh, podcast will be the first of many times that we'll be kind of hanging
Sure.
together, Greg, in the future. I'm really looking forward to this journey that we're going to go on collaboratively with Anthony and with Sean. Definitely see the value in your perspective. And I just truly appreciate you as a coach, as a motivational speaker, as someone who inspires me, and just as a man that I have, really learned something from over the past couple months.
Thanks, brother.
I
I
feel
really
blessed
appreciate
to
that.
know you, my man. So, Building Men, you could reach out to me, building.men on Instagram, Building Men Podcast on Facebook. You could email me, buildingmencoach@gmail.com. I appreciate everyone listening to this episode with Greg Lewis. Greg, it was a pleasure, man. Looking
Thank
forward
you, man.
to our future episodes together.
For sure. It's going to be fun. Can't
Absolutely.
wait for them.
Take care, man. Be good.
All right. See you soon.